Well, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Project Joyful podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Tutty, your medical herbalist and high performance coach. So, hey, Project Joyful isn't just about being happy. It's about consciously creating a life you love. It's about remembering how to reconnect with your soul-centered joy. You know, that joy that comes from doing what you love, from living on purpose, and from being in a life that allows you to experience deep joy moment by moment. So hey, let's get started, shall we?
Common medical advice suggests take an anti-inflammatory for pain relief and injury recovery. It's the best way to recover from those acute injuries like sprains and strains. New research published in May 2022 is now questioning that advice. Could it be that dampening down our body's inflammatory response to injury could actually be the cause of long-term unresolved pain? Join me in this episode as I share how your body repairs an injury and what insights this research is bringing to common misconceptions around injury management and pain relief. This episode could save you from a life of chronic pain. Let's get started, shall we? So I was reading a fascinating study which may completely change the way we approach pain management. Common practice is when you have pain, you reach for an anti-inflammatory drug. You keep taking those and eventually the body will heal itself and the pain will go away. Or will it? Researchers studied the mechanism for how acute pain becomes chronic or long-term pain. So acute pain is immediate pain and then how it becomes long-term pain. They looked at people with lower back pain and they studied what was different in people who had lower back pain and then experienced a full recovery, and people whose lower back pain became a long-term thing. They also confirmed the hypothesis using mouse models. Here's what they discovered. The key difference observed in people whose acute lower back pain became long-term back pain and those people who recovered from their back pain came down to an immune cell called a neutrophil. And people with long-term pain had less of these neutrophils. So your body responds to an injury in three ways. Your immediate reaction to an injury is to generate a vascular inflammatory response. So blood flows into the affected area, bringing with it a whole host of cells ready to begin the process of repair and healing. And this response is an immune response. Now, some of these cells, such as cytokines, signal for other cells to join the party. So your cytokines alert your chemokines, and your chemokines recruit leukocytes. A particular type of leukocyte is called a granulocyte, and they're of interest because a neutrophil is a granulocyte. So what does a granulocyte do? Well, they fight infections and allergens by dumping granules containing enzymes and chemicals into the affected area. And it destroys these infections and overcomes these allergic reactions. And neutrophils are your first responders when your body detects bacteria or viruses. They eat the bacterial microbes, destroying them with their own enzymes. And this process is called phagocytosis. You'll notice this inflammatory process because your injured site will appear to be a bit redder in colour or hot to touch, and there may be noticeable swelling and tenderness as well. Now this phase typically lasts 3 to 5 days. Once the damaged cells are tidied away, your body moves into the second phase, which is repair and regeneration. And in this stage, your body lays down collagen fibres. As it's rebuilding, things start out in a disorganised, fragile manner, and this phase lasts between 2 days to 8 weeks, depending on the extent of the injury. Now, it's really important to be gentle with yourself during this time, as this is when you're most susceptible to re-injuring that affected area. And the final phase, or phase 3, is when remodelling and finalisation of your now improved structures take place. So the collagen fibres get organised and they now have stronger bonds between them as well. You begin to be able to do more and to move more. Stretching is really important during this phase as you want to maintain flexibility within the area. So based on our understanding of these 3 stages of inflammation, what happens when we take an anti-inflammatory, such as diclofenac? Now, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or Nsaids, they work by blocking the effect of those signalling chemicals, and as a result, less inflammatory cells are recruited and the immediate pain subsides. Good news for the pain, but if we don't have enough neutrophils on site gobbling up microbes, we prolong the need for stage 1 of the inflammatory response. As a result, once we stop taking our anti-inflammatories, the pain associated with that much needed response returns. And this creates a need for long-term pain relief and adds to the potential consequences of long-term systemic inflammation. It's the result of taking a reductionist view by treating a symptom rather than working with our bodies to support the healing process. Now, you don't have to suffer through an injury. It's about allowing the inflammatory response to do its job. So painkillers or anodynes can be used to manage the pain, but choose those over an anti-inflammatory drug. In episode 42, we talked about the benefits of contrast therapy and how that can enhance the inflammatory process through the use of vasodilation and vasoconstriction. Now, very little is known about why we sometimes have unresolved pain, and it can have a huge impact on our quality of life. This study is an important step towards understanding, not just for people living with pain or for doctors or pharmacists, but also for natural health practitioners, looking at herbs, food and movement that support our body through the inflammatory process, alongside substances found naturally in the body like palmitoyl ethylene olanamide, or PEA for short. This could be the next generation in pain support and injury recovery. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.